We'll see if that goes on. All right. Hello, everybody. I think we're live again. I will just check. Awesome. We are. Sorry, everyone. I think we just got cut off. Technical difficulties, always with Zoom, always with Facebook. Let's just recap right before we got cut off by our internet. Obviously, with Kelsey, hopefully I understood right because I'm not the gut expert, but the gut lining is super important in making sure that we have a really, really good barrier from any pathogens. So any pathogens is essentially anything that can be harmful to our bodies. That includes viruses, that's bacteria, anything that your kids take home from daycare. This is the good gut health and the good bacteria that we're hoping to improve so we can actually improve our health, because the whole gut system is pretty much open to the whole environment. Yeah, the way that I was explained about it at uni was like, we're kind of like a donut. Our skin is exposed to the environment, but that skin is a continuation inside your mouth into your whole gut. So that essentially is exposure to a whole environment that we actually need to take care of as good as your skin. Is that correct, Kelsey?
Yeah, I love that analogy. I haven't heard of that one before, but definitely correct.
Chiropractors say really weird analogies. Who do we have? We have Jeet here. Hey, Jeet, how you going? Hope home life's doing well. Hey, Neri. Hey, Joe again. Thanks for coming back. We'll get everyone back on board, but yeah, let's continue.
Awesome. All right. Just sharing that screen again. Okay, so back to where I left off. So how can we eat to support our gut bacteria, to support that healthy gut lining that's going to prevent some of those harmful pathogens from entering in? So fibre, resistant starch, and our phytochemicals are particularly important for that. How do we get those three nutrients in? These dot points that I've got here on the screen are the main ways that we can support our gut health and get those nutrients in. So firstly, choosing whole grain foods wherever possible. So this means swapping out options like white bread for a whole grain bread, or swapping white rice to a brown rice. They're really simple swaps, but those foods that we make swaps for have a lot more of the vitamins and the phytochemicals and the antioxidants in them that help our gut to do its job. Eating plenty of fruit and vegetables. So we have heaps of our antioxidants, our vitamins, and our minerals in our fruit and veggies, not to mention fibre as well. So fibre, super important for our gut health because it helps to feed all of the good bacteria that's living in the gut to help them to thrive and do their job.
So are there any particular fruits and vegetables that we should be staying away from, Kelsey, or is it just any fruit and vegetables good as long as it's all natural?
None to stay away from. If you choose to, eliminate a certain vegetable for whatever reason, and this is something I'm going to cover in one of the next slides, but all of our different coloured fruit and vegetables have different nutrients in them, and our body needs a variety of those nutrients. So if for some reason maybe you have an intolerance or an allergy to a particular fruit or vegetable, we can always find a replacement for it. So thinking about similar colours, if you don't like baby spinach, we can swap it out for something else that's green and leafy, like broccoli, for example. So all vegetables and all fruit are great. We don't have to avoid any. When it comes to fruit, I know that that's a question that does come up a lot in terms of the sugar in fruit, but the thing with the sugar in fruit is that it's tied up with fibre, which slows down the digestion of the sugar. So it's not like a quick release of that sugar into our bloodstream. And it's also got heaps of beneficial antioxidants, vitamins, minerals in there. So still important to keep in there, and that tiny bit of sugar is not going to do us much harm. So yes, good question.
Awesome. And if you guys have any questions along the way, feel free to either like what Kelsey is saying or just give us some questions as we go, guys.
So adding more legumes into your diet is another great way of getting in those really good nutrients for gut health. So legumes, again, great source of fibre, particularly our resistant starch. So what that means is that it actually resists digestion and it moves further down our gastrointestinal tract and is fermented. And that helps to produce those short chain fatty acids that we talked about before that help with our gut lining and our immune health. Eat healthy fats regularly. So it's kind of a little bit old-fashioned in terms of fats being not great for us. So fats, depending what ones you choose, definitely really beneficial in the diet. So particularly thinking about nuts and seeds, olive oil, avocado, these are really healthy foods, heaps of nutrients in there. So one example is vitamin E in nuts, particularly almonds. Vitamin E is involved with our immune system development. So that's a really important one to be thinking about. And then extra virgin olive oil is actually high in antioxidant, I forget how to say it, but oleocythins. So that antioxidants help to reduce oxidative stress in the body. We know that stress is linked with our immune system as well. So when we're under stress, that dampens your body's immune response, so you're more likely to get sick. So thinking about all these different things, stress isn't just being stressed about work, it might be stress within the body. So all these antioxidants are really beneficial for that. Probiotic rich foods, great for gut health. So probiotic rich foods includes yogurts, kefir, fermented foods like sauerkraut and kimchi. So these foods have live bacteria in them. So whereas our whole grains and our fruits and vegetables and our fibre, those are called prebiotic foods. So they feed the bacteria that lives in our gut. Probiotics add bacteria into our gut. And so in that way, we can increase the number of bacteria, and it's all good bacteria that's living in the gut. Because when it comes to the bacteria that's in our gut and how that interrelates with our immune system, what we're looking for there is the number of bacteria that you have, as well as the variety of bacteria. So if we can add good bacteria to the gut, awesome. But we also need to be feeding the gut bacteria that already exists there to help that to flourish, so that we get a good variety of different bacteria living in the gut. The last one there is eat the rainbow and make sure you aim for a wide variety of plant foods in your diet. So when I say to eat the rainbow, what that means is what I mentioned earlier in terms of different coloured fruit and vegetables having different nutrients in them that have different benefits in the body. So if you only like carrots and peas, then you're only really getting 2 sets of vitamins into your body each week. If we aim to get different types of vegetables coming in different colours, so green, yellow, oranges, even your purple, so like eggplants and red onions, we get lots of different vitamins and a range of those that the body needs, and also a range of the nutrients that the gut needs as well. And then plant foods, so that's just a wrap up of all those foods that I listed there, because most of those are plant foods. So when we're choosing more plant foods in our diet, we know that we're going to be getting in that resistant starch and the fibre and the polyphenols that are really good for gut bacteria. All right, so this is just a little wrap up of how you can make some really simple swaps to introduce some of those foods that I just mentioned that are really good for gut health. So swapping rice for a rice blend. So rice blends, you can buy them in the shops these days. So it might be a combination of brown rice, quinoa and basmati rice. And in that way, you're already getting 3 different plant foods and 3 different whole grains within the one meal option. Another thing that you can do is when you're having options like mince, for example, in a meal, so spaghetti bolognese in particular is a good example. What we can do there is we can replace some of that meat with legumes. So lentils are a great replacement for mince, and you don't have to completely turn vegetarian. It can just be that you halve the recipe and use lentils for the other half of the mince. Adding tinned beans to soups and stews is a really easy way of adding that extra plant-based fibre into your meals. Swapping snacks with, so such as packet of chips with a handful of mixed nuts and a piece of fruit. So easy way to get that extra fibre in and make a really easy swap to help your immune system. Again, this one's similar to the rice. So instead of just choosing one plain lettuce as a salad option, go for a mixed leaf salad. You get lots of different nutrients coming in there and you're actually increasing your plant food intake in that way. And then nuts and seeds. So I talked about the healthy fats. Really great way to top salads, stir fries, porridge. You can blend them into salad dressings, pestos and sauces as well. So lots of simple ways there that you can increase your plant intake and help your immune system. So that is wrapping up the gut health section. Does anyone have questions on the gut health and immunity before I go into other strategies?
Awesome. And I'll open this up to anyone. If anyone has any questions, feel free to think about it, type it in the section below. I actually have a question, so I'll fill up a little bit of time before everyone else's questions come in. And the question is veered more towards the difference between having a probiotic in obviously the from the pharmacist and in tablet form compared to what you said with yogurts and trying to keep healthy that way. Do you have an opinion either way, Kelsey, on is it even effective buying the $50 tablets at the pharmacist compared to getting like the $2 yogurt?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So pretty similar to what I mentioned with the fruit and vegetables in terms of different nutrients. When it comes to our probiotics, we've got different strains of probiotics or different strains of the bacteria. So the strain of bacteria that is most common in our yogurt is the lactobacillus bacteria. And similar to the vitamins, each of those different strains of bacteria have different roles within the body. So if we were to only rely on yogurt as our source of probiotic, we're really only adding in that one particular type of bacteria. And when it comes to our gut health, what we know about the gut microbiome is that it's all about the diversity of the bacteria as well as the numbers of those different bacteria strains. So although the lactobacillus strain is perfectly healthy and it's great for us, it's got health benefits, if we end up with way more of that bacteria strain compared to anything else, then we're going to have an imbalance of the bacteria in our gut anyway. So yogurt, fantastic, and obviously a great protein source, lots of other health benefits too. In terms of buying a probiotic, what I'd recommend there is to speak to either your doctor or a dietitian first before buying one, because there's not really much use in just having one strain all the time, similar to if we were to eat the yogurt all of the time. And different probiotic strains, when it comes to the probiotic supplements, have different benefits. So there are some in particular, and I can send this to you as a little note, Paula, because I didn't actually include it in the slides. There are some strains in particular that are actually beneficial when you do get a cold or a flu, because they've been shown to help reduce the duration and severity of colds and flus, whereas another strain won't do the same thing. So it
we'll put that if possible as a PDF, and we'll put this on the comment section below so it's available for everyone after this. That would be very, very important for any of my patients, especially with just trying to increase their immune system. So
it's always great to go food first before we think about supplements, because they might be not the right one for the purpose that we want to be using them for.
Awesome. And another question, obviously, and this comes with the old mentality of fat is bad. And although a lot of the science is staying clear away from that, a lot of the mentality still today is that if I ingest the fat, even the good fats that you were talking about, like the oils and things like that, that it will make them ultimately unhealthy and make them bigger. Is there a certain portion size that we should be looking for just an optimal, say, just even virgin oil for the average person?
Yeah, good question. So a really good just general place to start in terms of portion sizes of your healthy fats is around a thumb size. So it's not very big. So that could be a thumb size at each of your meals. And what that refers to is your olive oil. So if we're cooking with oil, often we forget that that's contributing to your energy content of your meal because fats are very energy dense. So we only need small portions of them. So a good amount to just think about is thumb sized. If you're having something like nuts as a snack, they're great, they're really healthy, but yes, they're energy dense. So a strategy there is to make sure that you portion out your nuts before, instead of just digging into the whole packet, and sticking to a small handful of nuts is a good portion size, or it's about 30 grams or about 30 almonds, for example. So what fits inside your fist. And an avocado being one of our other healthy fats, a good general portion size to aim for is 1/4 of an avocado, which doesn't sound like much. You go to the cafe and buy a smashed avo, it's usually got a whole avocado on there. So that's a general aim, but try to spread that out across the day is the best way to go about it. So smaller portions spread out across the day is going to be a lot better than having a huge portion of fat in one go.
Awesome. Also encourage anyone that wants to put any questions, still put some questions in the section below, in the comment section, and we'll just move on to the next slides with Kelsey, and as they come up, we'll try to answer them at the end.
So the next section, what are some strategies that we can use in a nutrition perspective to help support our immune health? So first strategy, choosing whole grains where possible. So similar to our gut health that we just spoke about. Short chain fatty acids that we spoke about are produced from fermented fibre, which keeps our gut mucus barrier strong and healthy, helps to reduce inflammation, helps to reduce the harmful pathogens that can enter into our gut or our gastrointestinal system. In particular, when it comes to whole grains, oats and barley contain a compound called beta-glucan, which has been linked with reduced inflammation and also supports our immune health. So what are the whole grains? This includes whole grain breads, pastas, brown rice, quinoa, barley, oats, and ancient grains such as teff and, I'm forgetting the name of the other one, freekeh. So lots of great options in terms of our whole grain foods there. Not only these things that I've listed on the screen in terms of their role with inflammation and our mucus barrier, but also they contain our B vitamins, which help with energy production. So that is strongly linked with our immune system as well. And then some of our whole grain foods, such as our breads and things, are fortified with iron. So iron's also closely linked with our immune system. In this current day and age, carbs seem to be something that get demonized a lot. So this is my number one tip, choosing whole grains. They're definitely nothing, this is predominantly our carb foods. They're definitely nothing to be scared of in the diet. Heaps of benefits, especially when we think about immune health as well. Right, second strategy for supporting our immune health, eat the rainbow. So as mentioned before, lots of different vitamins that help with our immune system in our different coloured fruit and vegetables. Particularly, I'll go through some of those vitamins and what those roles are. So when we look at our sulphurous vegetables, so this includes onion, garlic and leek, these vegetables actually have antiviral properties. Vitamin D in particular has been linked with reduced incidence of illness. So a lot of studies have shown that people with low vitamin D serum levels have an increased incidence of colds and flus. So it's thought that vitamin D has a really important role in our immunity, and in particular their mushrooms are a great source of our vitamin D. Vitamin C, this one's probably the most commonly known vitamin that's linked with our immune system. So most of our fruit and vegetables are a great source of vitamin C, in particular capsicum, broccoli, spinach, tomatoes, and all of our citrus foods. I will go through a little bit on vitamin C supplements later in terms of immunity, but vitamin C helps to keep, it's pretty much involved in hundreds of functions in our body, helps to keep us healthy. Keeping our body healthy, keeping our gut healthy helps to keep our immune system strong. And if you are eating adequate fruit and veg each day, it's unlikely that you would need a vitamin C supplement because it's a water-soluble supplement. So we don't actually store it within our body. So the body will use what it needs, and then we actually excrete most of the vitamin C that we consume. So supplements often aren't really necessary as long as you're eating plenty of fruit and veg. Turmeric and ginger have antimicrobial antioxidant properties, so helping to fight off infection, helping to fight off pathogens and bugs, and also reducing oxidative stress within the body. And then in terms of fruit, berries are great, in particular from our fruits. They contain polyphenol compounds, which are strong antioxidants, which again helps to reduce that oxidative stress in the body, helps our immune system to function optimally. All right, strategy 3 for supporting our immune system, adequate sleep. So sleep helps healing. Most of our body's recovery is done overnight while we're sleeping. You might be wondering how this interrelates with our nutrition. I think sleep is one of those things where it's just tied up in all areas of our health. We can definitely link sleep with our nutrition. So when we're thinking about nutrition, it's got an important role in recovery, and so too does our sleep. So most adults need to be aiming for at least 7 hours a night. And there are particular nutrients that can actually help with our sleep and our recovery as well. So the better the body's recovering overnight, the stronger our immune system is going to be. And particularly thinking about this when you are sick as well, getting plenty of sleep will help the body to heal and recover. If you've ever heard of supplements like tart cherry supplements, they're great for sleep if you're someone that does struggle to get that adequate amount of sleep each night, and great for recovery. And that is because it helps with the production of melatonin, which is something that helps to signal our body that it's time to sleep and help with that recovery.
Awesome. I think sleep is one of those ones that overlap with everything. I always think with stress, it's physical, it's chemical, it's mental, and those three things always overlap. And it's not independent of each other. And that's something I always definitely try to tell a lot of my patients. We do have a question coming in before we go into the next slide, if that's okay, Kelsey. We do have one of our patients, and just coming off Ramadan, where they have to fast throughout the day with no food or water till sunset. What foods would you recommend to keep up the gut health and energy through the day? It's tips for next year. So obviously Ramadan finished over the weekend.
Yeah.
And being a dietitian would definitely see things in your patients during this time. But yeah, definitely this is a massive thing for some of our patients is the fasting. So during this time, does it deteriorate the gut health and immunity during fasting times, or what can Abdul do?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So far, I personally haven't seen any studies that say that Ramadan would be not beneficial for your gut health or have negative effects on your gut health, because I think it would all depend on what you are able to eat when you are eating. So when you're not in the fasting period, whatever you can do in that time to optimize what you're eating when you do eat is going to benefit you. So fasting is not necessarily going to be bad for your gut health. We all fast overnight anyway, so that's kind of a normal thing for our body to go through. Just try to optimize your meals when you do get to have those. So think particularly about the plant-based foods first. Your whole grains, lentils, legumes, they're great to be including, and then also your nuts as well. The additional benefit is that your whole grains and your legumes, great source of fibre, they're going to help to keep you feeling fuller for longer. And then same with the nuts, so healthy fats are really satiating, they're going to help to keep you full for longer. So I think if you can focus predominantly on getting those plant-based options in first, then that's going to support your gut health, also support your satiety as well. I do have some resources on Ramadan though, so if you want me to send those through or share your email with me, then I can send those through as well afterwards.
That would be awesome. We'll put that on the page and also as an email. And Abdul, I'll send that directly to you. But yeah, let's move on to the minimizing stress slide.
Great. So strategy number 4 when it comes to our immune system is minimizing stress. So again, it's something that is not necessarily a nutrition strategy, but it's interrelated with our health. So all these things are linked together. Often what I see with people is like in times of stress, that has an impact on food intake anyway. So where we can focus on minimizing stress, we're also going to be more likely to be able to eat better. And then that's going to in turn help our immune system too. So during times of stress, your stress hormones can actually suppress your immune system. So it's not going to be functioning as well. And then you're more likely to get sick in times of stress. So when you are stressed, making sure that you're getting adequate sleep to allow the body to recover, allow the immune system to recover and function optimally. Getting in regular exercise. So exercise supports our immune system, and we will just need to find the balance there in terms of exercise, because too much exercise or too high intensity of exercise can have the opposite effect on our immune system. So we need to just find the right type of exercise for the individual person that can help to minimize stress without impacting the immune system, but actually supporting it instead. Making sure that we're trying some relaxation techniques. So this is where instead of stress leading to things like emotional eating or mindless snacking, try some relaxation techniques or some unwinding techniques that aren't food related. So this could be mindfulness, it might be mindfulness coloring in, or it might be going for a walk when you do feel stress. It might be downloading a mindfulness app and just listening to a 5-minute, meditation thing on the app, recording the app. It might be just calling a friend for 5 minutes just to take your mind off what it is that's stressing you out, but making sure that these techniques aren't food related, because we don't necessarily need the food to be our comfort for stress, because sometimes that can lead to additional stress and not choosing the healthiest options that are going to support our immune system. Okay, this is the last strategy. So drinking alcohol in moderation, or choosing not to drink alcohol if that's your choice. So if you do choose to drink alcohol, it's important to know that high intakes directly suppresses our immune system, has a big impact on our immune cells so that they're not functioning as they should be. High intakes of alcohol disrupts our gut barrier. So we talked about how the gut barrier is really important for not letting in those harmful pathogens. So when we have higher intakes of alcohol, that can have a big impact on the integrity of our gut barrier, which can let those pathogens in and cause illness or increased risk of illness. And then alcohol can have an influence on other lifestyle choices. So it impact your exercise. We just spoke about how exercise supports our immune system. So if it has an influence on your other lifestyle choices that aren't going to benefit your immunity, that can have a big impact on how often you're getting sick. Another area is that alcohol intake actually can impact your nutrient absorption. So that comes down to the gut barrier as well. So when we're not absorbing as much of our nutrients, in particular B vitamins, then they're not there to support our immune system as well. So supporting our immune cells that are located in our gastrointestinal system. All right, so those were the immune support strategies. Now I'll just go through a couple of myth-busters.
If we could just answer one more question before we go into the myth busting.
Yeah.
I got a personal text message, so this didn't come through through the Facebook. But this might be a little bit off topic, but what's the best food to increase iron and vitamin D and increase energy? Because I think we were talking about sleep, and we we're talking about energy levels and just trying to be fit and healthy, but not overdoing it. I guess that's where that kind of question is coming from.
That's a great question. And iron is linked, both iron and vitamin D are linked with our immune system. So it is topical, so that's okay. So best foods for getting your iron in. Our best sources of iron in the diet is meat, in particular red meat. If you are someone that doesn't choose to eat meat, or you choose to reduce your meat intake, then our plant-based sources that are good sources of iron includes green leafy vegetables, fortified breads and cereals, and then things like legumes and beans as well. So the only difference, however, is the bioavailability, we call it. So the iron that we can get from our plant-based foods is not absorbed as easily as the iron that we can get from meat. So when we eat, say, 100 grams of meat, we're going to absorb a lot of the iron in that, compared to eating 100 grams of spinach. We only absorb a really small amount of that iron. So if you are someone that doesn't eat a lot of meat, but you want to enhance your iron intake from plant-based foods, what we can do is make sure that we're eating vitamin C with our plant-based sources of iron, because vitamin C enhances our iron absorption. So that just means combining your plant-based source of iron with a food that's high in vitamin C. So anything like broccoli, spinach, citrus foods, orange, capsicum, tomatoes, they're all great sources of vitamin C. When it comes to the vitamin D, so the best source of vitamin D is actually the sun. So nothing in the diet is going to be quite as high in vitamin D as what we get from sun exposure. But obviously, like in Australia, we want to be careful about our sun exposure, skin cancer risk. So making sure that we're being safe in terms of our sun exposure. And then coming into winter means that a lot of people are less likely to get that sun exposure, particularly if anyone is, you know, the type of person that covers up a lot. So you might, depending on like different cultural dress and things like that. So vitamin D from food, we can get that from mushrooms. That's our best source of vitamin D in the diet, particularly if we leave our mushrooms out in the sun. So a tip there is, before you cook with your mushrooms, just pop the punnet on your windowsill or out on the balcony, give it 15 minutes of sun, and it actually converts that into vitamin D that we can then absorb in the body, similar to what our skin does when we're exposed to sun, which is pretty cool. And then another good source is milk is a good source of vitamin D. But yes, the vitamin D sources in our diet aren't as abundant as other vitamins.
That is awesome. I've never heard of that mushroom trick before, but this is why we do this, obviously.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to a little bit of myth busting, and then
Yep.
we'll open up the questions after all the myth busting.
Yep. All right, so this one, I saw a lot of articles, a lot of social media posts around the time when COVID sort of first started increasing in Australia about how to boost your immunity. So when we look at boosting our immunity, try to steer away from using that term, because there's no evidence really to support that this is even possible, that we can boost our immune system. The immune system is extremely complicated, so there's so much involved in the immune system, and even what I've covered today is sort of just only barely scraping the surface. Like, I've just picked out a couple of, you know, facts and little bits of information that can help, but there's so much more to it as well. So increasing the actual number of your immune system cells could be detrimental if we're doing that in excess. So anyone that has an autoimmune disease will know that, because, you know, too much of it can be a bad thing, just like not enough is a bad thing. So we're about trying to find the balance of what's right for your body. And the best way we can do that is not to go to extremes of boosting our immune system, but rather thinking about how can we support it what foods are good for our immune system that are also good in other areas as well anyway. So by eating this, I'm not just benefiting my immune system, I'm also, you know, eating all the vitamins and minerals that keep me healthy and reduce risk of chronic diseases. So we're not particularly zoning in and just focusing on one thing and overdoing it. We are looking for that balanced approach that's going to support your body in a lot of different ways. Okay, so I briefly touched on this one before, but when it comes to vitamin C and colds, I get asked a lot about taking vitamin C supplements, and this one does come up a fair bit. So there is the common idea that vitamin C prevents us from getting colds. So while vitamin C is absolutely essential in the diet, it has heaps of important functions in our body, supplementing with vitamin C doesn't prevent us from getting a cold. As I said before, the immune system, it's very complex. There's lots of different things that are going on there. And the studies haven't shown that vitamin C will prevent colds. Consuming enough fruit and vegetables in our diet provides us with adequate vitamin C on a day-to-day level. In rare circumstances where someone's not getting enough fruit and vegetables in the diet, that might be a good time to supplement with vitamin C. But otherwise, if you eat your serves of fruit and veggies, it's pretty easy to get the right amount of vitamin C without having to supplement, because as I said before, it's a water-soluble supplement, so we're not going to store it in the body anyway. However, supplementation is actually great when you do get sick. So it's actually good to start the supplementation once you get a cold, because it has been shown in studies to help reduce the duration and severity of a cold, and that's in combination with zinc supplements as well. So I'm not sure if anyone's heard of this one before, but I have been asked this question a lot about when you get sick with a cold or a flu, whether you have to cut dairy out of your diet. So dairy, to start with, is really a great healthy food group to be including in our diet, unless for some reason someone has an allergy or intolerance. And there's the idea, I think it's a bit of an old wives' tale, that having dairy while you're sick will make you more congested, but there's no evidence to support the idea that dairy will increase mucus secretions and make you more congested. So when we look at dairy foods, they're perfectly fine to keep including in your diet when you do get sick, particularly thinking about the role that vitamin D has in our immune cells. It helps our immune cells to identify pathogens, and milk is particularly good for vitamin D. And also the protein in the milk and in dairy foods will help to support your health and help you maintain your muscle mass while you are sick, because being sick does take a big toll on the body anyway. So next time you get a cold, somewhat inevitable, don't cut out dairy. It won't make you congested. So that was the Mythbusters that I went through. So this is just a little summary slide, and then we'll do some more questions. So in summary, a healthy gut helps to keep our immune system healthy. To support a healthy gut, choose whole grains where possible, eat the rainbow, and aim for a variety of plant foods in your diet. To support our immune system, make sure you're getting adequate sleep, minimizing stress, and sticking to moderate or no alcohol intake to support our immune system. And remember to always seek dietitian advice rather than believing things that we see online, because there's a lot of misinformation out there about nutrition, particularly when it relates to this particular topic.
Awesome. I think all of that was very helpful. I really like that you say eat the rainbow, but said that it's fruits and vegetables, or else I'd be thinking of it as Skittles. I think that's the usual motto, eat the rainbow.
I didn't even think of that. I was like, yeah, it means fruit and vegetables. I might have to make sure it says that.
What I think, but at least you put it into context that it's not Skittles itself. Fruit and veg definitely really important. Animal has been a massive thing. The amount, I have some patients that work in some companies that deal with alcohol, and obviously there's a massive increase during this time. There are more people at home.
Just people can drink. Yeah, it's acceptable in your house. So Again, I guess it's everything in moderation, not necessarily overdoing it, and making sure that you still stay healthy as a person, not just for immune sake, but for just overall health, and just make sure everyone stays healthier during this time. Even if it wasn't COVID, it's winter. So yeah. Hopefully everyone stays healthy. We do have another question. Again, guys, if any of this was really helpful, give us some thumbs up, give us some loves. We have a question in regards to vitamins. Would a multivitamin supplement be better to take to cover all essential vitamins? So I guess this comes from, there's obviously different types of vitamins, and people can get just like, say, magnesium in one bottle, or should they go for like the multivitamin? Same with like vitamin C's and how it's mixed with multivitamins. What's your take on that, and Kelsey?
It really depends on your diet to start with. So when I see a client or chatting to a client, I'll often assess their nutrient intake first. So have a look at sort of like an average daily intake, what you would normally be having. And in doing that, we can assess if you're actually meeting vitamin requirements. And then I would decide then if it would be necessary to have a multivitamin. So like something like a multivitamin is pretty harmless, but we also need to be thinking about, is it worth taking if you're already getting the adequate nutrients in through food anyway? In particular, like I said, I work with a lot of athletes, so I work with some very active people, which can have a big, which can sort of use up a lot of their nutrients and suppress immune system. So in those types of circumstances, definitely using a multivitamin. So it just depends on the person, and I hope that answers that question, but it's all very contextual when it comes to nutrition and supplements.
Awesome. I think it did. I think I got a thumbs up during that explanation, so I hope that was it. If there are any other questions, I think we're going to wrap it up now. If any of my patients want to find you, Kelsey, do you mind if you tell them what you're up to and how you guys have changed your business, so people can still get the benefit of talking to a dietitian even during a time where we are still socially distancing? I think Australia is still an amazing place, but we're not necessarily out of the woods yet, even from us health practitioners. So we've all changed the way that we operate. But if anyone has any personal questions, or if they even want to get in contact with you, how can anyone get in contact with you?
So the website that you can see up on the screen now, healthandperformancecollective.com. That's the best place to head to for some more information and to contact us. So you can find in our team, you can find my name under the drop-down box and contact me via that way. I should have put my personal email up on here, but if I say that now, this is my email.
I'll put it in the comment section below. That's all right. I'll put all of this information in the comment section below. I think it's super important if anyone ever has any personal stuff they don't want to necessarily put on social media and they want to contact you directly.
Definitely. So due to COVID at the moment, we're only offering online appointments. So we hold these over Zoom, which I'm sure a lot of people are very familiar with using Zoom now. And we'll be continuing to do online appointments only for the foreseeable future at the moment. So a nutrition appointment, usually it's 1 hour for an initial appointment. This goes through a nutritional assessment with you, start you off on a meal plan or nutritional strategies, and then we continue with the follow-up nutrition plan after that. So usually between 2 to 4 weeks between appointments, and follow-up appointments are 15 to 30 minutes in length.
Awesome. All right. So I think we'll wrap it up there. I think that was heaps of really useful information. Thanks, Kelsey. I really appreciate you helping just my tribe and helping, obviously we're a chiropractic clinic. I don't know everything. I know the back and the nervous system super, super well, but I do understand, like I said before, this is health itself is everything all combined. And I think this is where it's really important that people understand there's no silver bullet, even when it comes to practitioners, but know which team of practitioners you want on your side to actually keep healthy. So I've used dietitians before, sports dietitians. I've used podiatrists, every practitioner, just to keep myself healthy. And I always encourage any of my patients, if you have any questions about your gut health, I am not the person to ask, but definitely go talk to an awesome dietitian like Kelsey. All right, so I'm gonna wrap that up. Thank you for everything tonight, Kelsey. I appreciate it. I know that you're gonna give me all those PDFs for those questions, but I appreciate it. And we'll see you guys next time for our next webinar. See ya.
Awesome. Thank you.
Just waiting for it. Awesome. All right, I think we're live on our private Facebook group. So we just finished a big day here at the clinic, and we've got Kelsey here. She's an accredited sports dietitian. She is at H&P Collective, and she works well with big groups of was it Parramatta Eels, is that correct? So yeah. Could you give us a little lowdown of who you work with, Kelsey, before we go into the topic today?
Yeah, so I work with the Parramatta Eels NRL team, and then also work with the GWS Giants AFL, and then the Waratahs Super W women's team as well.
Awesome, awesome. So that's a lot of teams to be helping, but Kelsey is here tonight helping us. Who do we have here? We have a few people. Hey, Joe. Hey, Mark. How are you going? We'll have question and answers. If you guys have any questions during this time, we'll try to answer it. But the topic of tonight is, well, 3 food strategies on how to boost your immune system. So I think that's really important now. I think that's really important even in the future. I think most of the time we don't like getting sick, but especially when it's getting to winter, a few of us are starting to feel a little bit feverish, getting colds more easily. And I think it's just the right time to start to educate people on certain things that can empower us. So I do think, hey, there's viruses and bacteria outside, but let's change the topic to how can we make the host stronger? And this is essentially why we're doing this, is just to empower all of the patients there, what you can do personally on your own health so you can help yourself, not feel like a helpless victim in winter, yeah? So that's why we have Kelsey here. We're going to talk about 3 food strategies, but we're gonna start off with why it's important to have good gut health for your immune system in the first place. So take it away, Kelsey.
Awesome. Thank you for that intro, Paula. Oh, I just tried to share my screen. It said it's not working. I need to, it's disabled. From your end, Paula.
Oh.
Yeah, so before I get started, thank you for that intro. So I'll be talking first about gut health and how that interrelates with our immune system, and then go through some nutrition strategies that will help with supporting your immune system to be stronger. So I really love what Paula said about how we can use nutrition and shift the focus away or towards how we can empower ourselves to make our immune system stronger. Because obviously it's very topical at the moment with all the COVID things that are going on, but as well we're coming into the flu season and winter where it's a lot more common to be getting sick and illnesses. So how can we support our bodies to be able to help fight that off? And then as well, I'll go through a couple of little myth busters at the end. So there's a lot of information around at the moment about immunity. You just type in immunity at the moment, and it comes up with all these articles about how you can fight off COVID and things like that. So there's a lot of misinformation out there. So just want to clear up some information and then go through a little bit of question and answer with you guys. So I'll just try the screen now. Yeah, that's fine.
I think the screen share is done. And that happens in everything in health, I think. I think that there's a lot of misinformation that happens on YouTube, on Google. I know that whenever Dr. Googles themselves, sometimes they come back and they're like, oh no, I have cancer. So this is exactly why we have the practitioners on this call. So you guys can ask us direct questions about these certain things and not be bombarded with all the information that you get on the internet. Is that right, Kelsey?
Absolutely. All right, so you can see my screen there now?
Yes, awesome.
All right, so I just went through the topics that I'll be covering with you today. So the importance of gut health, some of those strategies that will help to support your immune system, and then some myth busting as well. So how can we support your immunity in a healthy way? So our immune system functions best when it's supported with a healthy diet and lifestyle, and we're protecting it from those environmental stresses. So that's everything that I'll be covering with you today. Gut health. So gut health is a very trendy topic when it comes to nutrition at the moment. It's something that I see a lot on social media, the internet, we see it on the news. And just like with immunity, there's a lot of misinformation when it comes to gut health. But I will particularly talk to you about how our gut health is interrelated with our immunity. So you may have heard of our gut microbiome before. So our gut microbiome refers to the trillions of bacteria that live within our gastrointestinal tract, or our GI tract, particularly in our large intestine. Our gut bacteria has many roles in the body. So they're thought to be involved in things like our weight management, our risk of chronic diseases like diabetes and cardiovascular disease. And they've also been linked with having involvement in our immune system development and function. So that starts from when we're in the womb, so before we're born, and then our gut microbiome continues to develop through our adulthood. So it's something that's already existing there, but there are things that we can do with our nutrition to continue to enhance and support our gut microbiome to be as healthy and balanced as possible. So the ways that our gut microbiome can help with our immunity. So we have something called barrier immunity. So the bacteria that colonizes the gut uses up all the space and the nutrients in there, and then that can help to prevent harmful bacteria from colonizing or living in our gut. So essentially, we're actually more bacteria than we are human cells. So as much as we can support that bacteria to do its job in the gut, the healthier we're going to be and the better our body is able to fight off harmful bacteria, because we do have a mix of good and not so good bacteria. Other ways that our gut health helps our immunity is that some of our bacteria produces substances that are called short chain fatty acids, or SCFAs. So these include butyrate, propionate, and acetate. So these short chain fatty acids have been shown to help our intestinal cells in their immune response to harmful pathogens and prevent inflammation in the gut. So they contribute to our gut's mucosal lining, keeping it really strong and preventing harmful pathogens from being able to enter, and also helping to reduce inflammation. So if gut health has an important role in our immune system, how do we eat to support our gut bacteria? Fibre, resistant starch, and phytochemicals help our bacteria to produce beneficial substances that help to support our immune system. So those short chain fatty acids.
I think we just lost Kelsey. Give us a moment. We'll just be right back.